So can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you started from, and how you got to the Minnesota Vikings now?
Okay, so my name is Derik Keyes. I was raised in Lafayette, Louisiana. Originally, I'm from Mississippi, but I moved to Lafayette when I was around the age of 12, and so I went to middle school, high school, and college in Lafayette. And basically, that's where I have all my roots as far as sports and football. And so I played for UL. And after that, I started my coaching career once my NFL career didn't kick off. And so what happened was I interned at UL for a year, and then I went to the University of South Alabama for grad school, and then I came back to UL full-time for Coach Hud's first season. And that's the season where we went to our first New Orleans Bowl and won that New Orleans Bowl with the walk-off field goal. And I want to say 3 weeks later, I had my first opportunity in the NFL, and then it came really quick. So I started my coaching career in the NFL by the age of 25 with the Houston Texans in 2012. And, I've been in the league ever since. I'm with my third organization. After Houston, I went to the Cleveland Browns for 4 years. And then after the Cleveland Browns, I am now in Minnesota with the Vikings on my 4th year.
Now, what position did you play here at UL, and also what position did you coach during Hud's tenure here at UL?
So I played free safety, strong safety at UL. I had the Prop 48 in my first year in 2004, so I sat that year out. And then my first season was 2005, technically as a freshman. And so I started that year, and then that 2006 season, played, broke my leg, and then finished my career out 7 and 8 under Coach Bustle. And so when I had a chance to coach with Coach Hud, my position was strength and conditioning. I worked with my boss, Rusty Witt, who's now at Troy State.
Coach Witt.
One of the best coaches in the country. So.
Coach Witt's crazy.
Yeah. So I coached with him at UL, and after that, that's when I had an opportunity to pop to the NFL. And so I still do the same thing in the NFL. I'm a strength conditioning coach, and so I work with all positions. I actually have a specialty now where I work with the skill positions, directly, and a lot of it has to do with my background of being a defensive back, and also understanding the concept of route running, and so I have a specialty in training those guys.
So with the first team, the Houston Texans, how was your transition from collegiate football to NFL football, locker rooms? What's the biggest difference on the, how can I say, the professionalism of the players from college to NFL?
So with college, you're dealing with a bunch of men, a bunch of kids. I would like to say kids because you're coming in at the age from possibly 17, 18, playing to your 20, 21. And so with the NFL, you transition, from being a young man to transitioning to being an adult man. And so what happens is that, once guys get to the NFL, they realize that it's no longer playing for your scholarship. It's no longer playing for your scholarship. It's playing for actual money and a lifestyle and a way to survive and to take care of your family. And so what happens is, you get serious because you have to deal with things like, insurance and taxes and being able to manage your money and so many other life things that come at you. And by this time, these guys are getting married and they're having kids. And so, their focus is much different when you talk about being serious about your craft. You know what I mean? In college, it's, you deal with, I don't want to say groupthink, but in college, it's actually more of a team environment opposed to the NFL. It's basically every man who has to earn his spot. And then whenever the season starts, that's when the team environment comes in, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying, just because a lot of players won't make it to that team, and you don't want to divulge a little bit too much to guys that might end up on another roster by the end of training camp. So you're tender with the Browns. There's a lot of negativity that kind of it gets spewed about the Browns, but LeBron talks so highly of it. Jarvis Landry talks so highly of it. Why do people just connotate Cleveland as just being a negative city?
You know what? And I've never been to Cleveland before I actually moved to Cleveland, which that was always the depiction of Cleveland as being a rundown city. Being, kind of how Detroit, gets that negative connotation as well. These are blue collar cities, old steel cities, and what happened is at some point the economics dropped in the city, and it got really rough for a lot of people who live there. The great thing about Cleveland to me is they are a blue-collar city, and it's beautiful in the summer and springtime, which people don't know. And so it gets a bad rap, but Cleveland, I enjoyed my time in Cleveland. I could have stayed there possibly still to this day, but I had opportunities to go somewhere else and get opportunity to work on winning a championship, and that was the life that I chose. But I enjoyed my time in Cleveland, and when I got there, it was 2013, and it was the year before LeBron came back. And when LeBron came back, the city, it blew up. And when I say it blew up, it was, economics. It was buildings going up, apartment complexes going up, more jobs. For some reason, he brought that energy to the city. And I think that's what people don't know about LeBron is that, he brings the economic structure for some reason wherever he goes. Now, LA already has its structure, but wherever he goes, he has such a following and such a power in sports that, he brings a lot to the city. And so, Cleveland gets a bad rap, and I think it's only because of maybe the weather and probably not too many things to do, but, it's definitely a blue-collar city and a lot of hard workers, and I enjoyed my time there. I had good experiences there, and so it's definitely better than what it's depicted to be.
Yeah, you're the first person to ever tell me that Cleveland is beautiful in the summertime. I'm so not.
The summertime, yeah, man. You can ask Justin and all the guys who come up to visit me. They actually enjoyed it, man, because like I said, you don't get these crazy pictures of it, looking a certain way. But I lived up in Lake Erie, and so I love living by the water. And when you get a chance to just go out there and see how green it is, and be out by the water and be out by the beach, it's not a view that you get of Cleveland, in the media. So that's why I say it's beautiful, personally.
Now, you went from being born in Lafayette, born in Mississippi, growing up in Lafayette, Texans, then going up north to the cold with Cleveland. Is Minnesota colder than Cleveland, or?
It's absolutely colder than Cleveland. And so, when I moved from Houston at the time to Cleveland, it was 75 degrees the same day. And when I landed in Cleveland, it was 19 degrees and 2 feet of snow.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Shock. Yes, it was my culture shock. I didn't understand. I didn't know how to drive in the snow. I didn't have the boots. I didn't have a window scraper to scrape the snow off. It was things that I wasn't prepared for. That was just a big culture shock. And although it was cold, I think it got down to negative 16 once. Minnesota, 2 years ago, we had a polar vortex. And if you know anything about a polar vortex,
which I don't,
yeah, you have to look it up after we get out the phone. It dropped to negative 30. I went to work and it was 7 degrees. It dropped to negative 30 in the same day, and my car wouldn't start. That's how cold it got. It's this piercing cold. And anything below negative 3, you can't expose your skin to it more than 5 minutes without getting frostbite.
Wow.
So, it was a scary moment for my wife and I because she just moved from LA. And, another culture shock to where it was negative 30, but the wind chill was actually negative 56.
So there's like no instance of when you don't have to go to work in the snow. Like if it snows in Louisiana an inch, they canceling everything.
No, not up here. You're going to work in a snowstorm. You got to figure it out. And I think, during that time of the polar vortex, when it did get that cold, they did give us a winter advisory, and they told us not to show up for the rest of the week until the temperature went back up.
Sheesh, -5. I can't even fathom being without. Ooh, no, sir, not for me. Now, are you a Saints fan? Oh, thank you. Me either. Born and raised in New Orleans, and I hate the Saints. Ooh.
Being from Mississippi, we didn't have an NFL team, and by the time the Saints were terrible, me growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, the Saints weren't really that good. My family, they're actually from the Midwest. They're actually from south of Chicago, and for some reason, my family, they're Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And so I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan my entire life because that was something that was important to me as a child. And so, all the way up to college until I got in the NFL, that was my team.
I was looking at the light.
Saints fan, so, especially now that they're NFC rivals.
Yeah, okay. Now, so let's get into the Saints versus Vikings in 2018. Can you tell me how did you feel on the sidelines watching the miracle happen?
Yeah, leading up to that point, there was this deep, heavy feeling in my stomach that we were going home because we were down at the time. And those last 3 minutes of that game was actually just a stomach turn because it was a whirlwind of, we went ahead and then they got ahead, and then we went ahead and then they got ahead. Then when they got ahead, we had 17 seconds left. I want to say 17 seconds left on the clock right before that play. Last play of the game, and I was actually 15 to 20 yards ahead of that entire play. And so you can see on video, or you can see on through pictures that when he caught the ball literally right in front of me. And I was telling him to get out of bounds. But by the time we saw the Saints player fall, we're all screaming like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is about to happen. Like, this is a walk-off home run.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And I think for the entire organization, we were all so shocked and it was so emotional that we stayed out there for an extra hour and a half on the field after the game was over with, just like hugging and just, just full of joy. Besides the walk-off field goal with the Cajuns against San Diego State 2011, those are my two favorite feelings in football because, it's a walk-off. You know what I mean? Like, you score and the game is over with. And I think that was, from a historical aspect, a great, great moment.
Yeah, I mean, you throw the helmet and you walk off. I mean, that's literally was the best moment ever. Like, I've never seen the excitement. Like, if I was to catch a touchdown, like, that's the first thing to do. Like, I don't know. It just all went so well with him just taking the helmet off. Like, is this enough? Are we done yet? Like, it was just, oh man, like, it was a beautiful moment. Saints fans was upset. My co-host producing here, he's turning red, remembering that game from 2018 is burning in his soul right now. But it.
Crazy part for that team, they had to come back out and kick the field goal. gotta understand, these guys like were already addressed. The NFL made them come back out and to stand in front of the team so we can kick the field goal to actually end the game.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the real burning feeling right there. Now, then they ran it back again. Can you tell me how it was the second go around? Watching the Vikings just sit in Drew Brees' lap and then give him the cold world tight end touchdown.
Boy, you know what? That game was another stomach turner, and it wasn't the same. And I think it was because of the environment of being in New Orleans. That was actually my first ever game coaching in New Orleans. Like, so we played them earlier that year in the preseason, and we beat them. But for this playoff game, because it was such a serious game, it's like, hey, it's the rematch, and now it's in New Orleans, right? 2 years later.
Right.
First time ever coaching in New Orleans. And so, you know, I got 30 to 50 family members at the game. And, you know, it was such a crazy moment where the game was so tight. And then, you know, just sitting there feeling that we were going to win that game because we were in the red zone. I already knew. By the time we got to the red zone, I already felt like, you know, we got this game in the bag. All we need to do is just score once, and we're good. And, you know, of course, it ended up being the last play of the game. And, you know, in that fashion where, you know, this time it was Rudy who you know, got the jump ball, and, you know, and that was game. It was over with once again. And once that happened, I don't think I ever ran out on the field that time. I ran straight to the locker room to grab my phone to be petty with my family. That's exactly what I did. I'm not going to lie to you.
Nah, that's the best feeling. Is going to, is messing with your family about the team you work for, root for, and poking fun at them.
100, yeah. I get up to 100 text messages throughout the week from family and friends, you know, whether it's on my phone or, you know, tons of messages through Facebook and social media and stuff like that. And so, you know, whenever we win, it's always a great feeling of like, all right, see, I'm not going to talk noise this time, but just know that this is what the outcome is. And I enjoy the banter of going back and forth. And I think that's the great thing about the sport is that, you know, there's going to be battles and moments where you're going to win and moments where you're going to lose, but you don't take it personal because it's a game at the end of the day.
Correct. Got to strive and achieve through everything. I appreciate you coming on this show, man. Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you so much. Now, we have to take a break, and we have more guests after this break on the Morning Lock-In.
In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manning was
Hit the button.
after